Run Junkies, I'm back today with another weekend update. I'm back home and we're rested. We were gone for a little bit. Now we're back and we're back into our routine. And I'm about a week out from my next race, the Prairie Dog Half Marathon down in Castle Rock. So if you've been following me for the last few weeks, you know that this particular race has a significant uphill. And that's really what I've been concentrating on in the last 2 weeks, particularly when I was in Wisconsin because of some of those hills. I've been changing altitude a little bit as a result of that, not just in the hill work that I've been doing, but also when I travel to Wisconsin, the altitude changes quite dramatically for me. Here in Denver, we are at 1 mile high, 5,280 feet. Wisconsin, where I was visiting, is about 1,000 feet. So I do feel kind of a nice change. There's a lot more oxygen, and that delivery just makes my runs far more efficient. So I can run a little bit faster there with a little less effort than I would here, for example. Now, coming back to Denver sometimes has been a challenge for me, coming back up in that elevation. This time around though, I don't know if I've been training well or if it's the heart rate training or what it is that I'm doing, but I didn't feel that, few days of, lack of breath when I came back here. And that's normally what happens, but that didn't happen this time around. So I've come to a few revelations too in the last few weeks. One is that I feel like I'm becoming more of a one-trick pony than I really like. Coming from a triathlon background, cross training is just an automatic thing when you're in triathlon, but when you're running and you're training for races, that's almost, you can really get down to that's all you're doing. So I've gotten to where I'm just running easy in a straight line forever, and I can do that all day long. But I'm neglecting the strength training piece, I'm neglecting the stretching and foam rolling, and it's really starting to take its toll because I've noticed that I don't have the range of motion I'd like in other directions other than forward and backward. I feel like I'm losing strength and definition and mobility and just a general lack of muscle tone, which for me is kind of frustrating because I'm getting married in 10 weeks and there is no reality check like facing yourself in a dressing room mirror. And there are people replying and they're saying that they're gonna come to our wedding. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I've been more than a little motivated to make a few changes. Now, I'm not really concerned about losing weight as a runner. My athleticism and my body type, I don't really need to lose the weight, but I would like to see a little bit of a change in body composition, just adding more muscle and losing a little fat. So it might just even out a little bit. However, I would like for my, dress to be a little less restrictive. I just started some training with Hottie Fitzness, and I'm leaving a link in the description below. Perhaps you've heard of it. If you're on the Team Run Disney Facebook page, you may have seen a couple of the members following this particular plan. Now, I haven't completely dived into this whole training process, but I have found a lot of it useful. The plyometrics and the strength training are amazing, and I'm rediscovering muscles that I forgot I had. I mean, it's basically kicking my butt. But I've lost so much of my upper body strength that holding a plank or doing a push-up has become a real challenge for me, and that needs to change. As a swimmer, I've always taken a lot of pride in how my shoulders looked and how my back looked, and all of that's gone now. I mean, it's super frustrating to me, to the point where I thought, maybe I should get back into triathlon. But that is a completely different conversation. Far beyond the scope of this video. Now, I have had some trouble lately with my right calf, and I think I'm suspecting it's shin splints, which is fixable if I make some changes here in the next week or so before this half marathon. I'm gonna add some ice and I'm gonna stay off my feet, and I may do a little bit more on the bike as opposed to doing a lot of running, especially during this taper period. So with this race coming up, I have a few challenges before me. I need to make sure that I'm healthy enough to tackle this half marathon with a PR in mind. So I need to check in with my coach, see what she thinks, and then plan accordingly in the next week. So I am 1 week out from the Prairie Dog half, and I'm well into taper. My legs are absolutely ready for it. The hills are still a little bit of a struggle for me, but I do feel like I'm more efficient going up them. I don't feel like I have to walk as often going up a hill. So that, I think, is gonna help me going into this race. I did have my last tempo run on Thursday, and it was 4 miles straight of race pace at 10:07. And I don't know that I've ever gone that fast in one chunk. So chalk that up to efficient training. I'm also gonna really hone in on my nutrition intake as we go forward. I haven't been doing a great job with that lately with the holiday and the travel. I'm just such a sucker for a good hot dog. So I need to really dial that back in. My buddy Gerald Resnick over at RezRuns just uploaded a fantastic video about nutrition and running, and I'm gonna leave a link in the description below to that. It's a great conversation about how to fuel yourself for running, especially when you're doing something major like the Dopey challenge. Now, a word of warning though for that, don't watch that when you're hungry. Just saying. Otherwise, we've had a great, albeit busy, couple of weeks over here. It's nice to be back in our routine. It's nice to be back home. While we were in Wisconsin though, my son and I did our July virtual 5K from Run Disney, so we got our bone and bull medal for that. I did have to, encourage him a little bit. The heat and humidity were getting to him, and I just said, just a little bit more and we're gonna stop at the coffee shop. So I did kind of promise him some coffee cake, speaking of nutrition. We did finish the July virtual 5K, which was a lot of fun. Again, my son and I got to run around a little bit on the lake together. That was fantastic. And we had a major victory this week. So all of our dining reservations for Walt Disney World Marathon weekend are set. I mean, that is a huge victory. Anyway, coming up on Tuesday, I am responding to another request that one of you gave me about how to get to the next step, to go to the next distance. So for example, if you are really comfortable with the 5K, how to get to train and get ready for your 10K, your first 10K. And so please subscribe for that coming up. And next week, I will be bringing you a race recap for the Prairie Dog Half Marathon. So my questions for you today are these. 1, do you incorporate hills into your training, and if so, how? 2, have you ever dealt with altitude changes, and how did you manage that? Please leave thoughts, comments, and questions in the box below, and any suggestions you might have for a future video. As always, please hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks so much for watching. That's it for me today. Get out there, go find your awesome. Until next time, happy running.